is a little bonus clip that is okay to see by itself, but it makes a good addition if you saw part one. So one of the things I wanted to broach with y'all is that you're outside of the hearings that are going on. You've talked a lot about different aspects of what was happening for you maybe, but there's some details that sound like we maybe need some more of what happened, what kinds of things went on while you were outside there protesting. And the three of you sometimes got separated, sometimes you were together. Gabs, what did you want to say about that?
Well, I mean, there were a lot of things that alerted me to the temperature rising in this environment, it being in the middle of it. Of course, now at every protest, right, you always have, people like Dawn who hold their signs, maybe walk around a little bit, but you also have people that are stationary and they stand there with the banner and stuff like that, and they hold it. But there are people who know that those things are going on. A lot of them are paid provocateurs and paid agitators. And so when one of those people would come by and try to stand in front of one of our girls, I would just put my booty on them, you know what I mean? And just back in, just gently back up, and they would move. But we had to do that a lot. I mean, me and Dawn both, because they were trying to get in front of the news cameras, and prevent us from being able to show our signs in the news cameras. And like I said, I'm one of the bigger women, so I have a little bit more weight to throw around, if you will. So I'm getting in front of them and moving them out of the way, or pushing them. I'm not pushing really, but nudging. Nudging, edging them out of the way is one of those tasks that I always take on myself. I did it at all the protests. And when there was the paid agitator who came and was hurling insults at people and stuff like that, he called me a they, them. And I was like, motherfucker, I have got titties and 5 kids. I'm a woman. And it kind of took him aback, because he's not the kind of person who is used to people firing back at him. And so I mean, and then there was another man who he looked completely and totally homeless. You could tell he was a trans rights activist, and they do hire the homeless because they have nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose. This man had his fly unzipped. He was taller than everybody else. He looked filthy. I mean, and I said, I turned to Nikki and I said, keep an eye on this guy, which she had already clocked him. And the police officers, the plainclothes police officers had clocked him as well. And so, I was ready for anything. But being in that environment really does heighten your awareness of your surroundings. There was a point at which the police actually moved back and blocked off the street because there were more people coming. The trans rights activists were coming from both sides. We were getting surrounded. I started getting a little claustrophobic. It started. I felt them closing in on us, and I said, Dawn, this is happening right now.
They're triangulating.
They're triangulating. Yes.
Do you at any point see a bus arrive or anything on the horizon with people getting out? Because we know they do that from about a block away usually.
They wouldn't have done that right there.
They
would have done it over at the Methodist church, is where they would have dropped the people.
Well, even there, they couldn't have done it on that corner because that whole side of the street was blocked off.
Right.
They couldn't have even done it. And I think there could have been a bus on the other side of the SCOTUS building, and that's why they were coming from around, because it did look like the trans rights activists were coming from behind the building. So it on both sides of the street, and they had big giant flags and and signs and all of those things. The thing that I had my body cam on. I did a live stream on Twitter. And one of the things that I was very cognizant of is how much money was going into their side. If we
I saw professional pamphlets that they made on how to protest. I was sorely tempted. I saw them sitting on the ground. I so wanted to reach, but I would have had to reach between somebody's legs, and I know they would have stomped on me.
Right.
But yeah, they had all kinds of professional.
They had merch. Yeah. They had hats. They had pins. They had stars.
They did.
They had, and they were wearing purple, and
the flowers were impressive. I gotta say,
they were wearing light purple, and I also was wearing, a similar lavender looking color. So I went in there. I went in there and took video of everything that they had, tables upon tables of merch, of t-shirts and pamphlets and signs. Professional signs. They had a roster of a check-in roster of hundreds of names. It wasn't anything like what we had. Their music, their sound system and everything was blasting out over hours. You can hear the music playing through Nikki's microphone as she's giving her speech. And they were playing the music over our speakers. They didn't even have that many speakers. They dominated the space. Even they had cornered off a portion of it so they could have a dance party like they like to do.
Right.
They were playing the music, and it just got into Nikki's butt, and she couldn't stop dancing. So the whole environment was very overstimulating. But the things that I took away from it were that the coordination of these organizations on their side is, you can tell that it is decades old. And everything that they're doing is so well funded, it's not even funny. We got chicken nuggets after this. And
the Democrats versus Republicans thing too. They've got the money with the unions and everything, and we got to fund crap ourselves. That's always the way it is.
And so seeing the enormity of how much money went into all of this,
for reals,
it really did kind of get at my stomach, because trying to raise money, as an independent person in this whole thing really it's very stifling, and I can see why people give up. And don't want to try. But I think that, as people who are rallying for reality, I think that we need to come to grips with the fact that we're going to have to start putting our money where our mouth is. It's not that they have more rich people donating to theirs. They have more regular people who will give. They'll give their last.
They have unions and such too, because they had the ACLU funding their stuff.
That's
just
where
that
they
alone.
get their money. They get their money from that kind of thing. But we don't have that stuff. But they also, I'm talking about individuals. Individuals will give their time and money to these things, to these volunteer organizations. The social aspect of our culture, Republicans do not see as necessary to donate their time and money and energy into. Social causes, they feel like that's what church is for. So just in generally speaking, the Democrats and on that side have really outraised us in those areas. And so they have the time, the energy, and the money to be able to do those things, whereas Republicans don't think it's worthwhile.
Well, something that Dawn just mentioned, and I remembered hearing the reports from Dawn when you guys were there, and it has to do with the ACLU and the signs that they had in a particular little demonstration that was going on outside in the public on the plaza with women tapping their needles and rolling up their sleeves and blah, blah. Dawn, can you talk about that whole thing where that young woman stood there and ACLU people were around with their signs and trying to block? Because I put the footage in here of a young woman shooting up testosterone right there in front of everybody. What did that feel like? What did it look like to, to any?
Well, the whole group, like a few women came over and set up this array of equipment, and she began to set up the needle, and there was someone filming specifically right there with their camera, their phone camera, and me and Jennifer Thomas were watching this, and Jennifer starts freaking out because really this is so inappropriate that we can see that she's getting ready to shoot something up, and which it is most obviously testosterone, but we don't know for sure what that is. It could be anything. And that's what Jennifer was saying. She ran over to tell the police, hey, they're shooting stuff up on the sidewalk over here. Meanwhile, I'm trying to film over, and they don't realize that I'm filming because I'm short and I look like I'm not important.
Opening needles in like a busy public arena? Do you think that's a good idea?
Oh my God, we shouldn't be littering.
It's not healthy, and
know where there's
gonna stab them with a needle.
I'm sorry, do you know where there's a trash can? There's just so much trash. If y'all have like a bag, do y'all have trash bags?
I don't know, but I think they should not do their drugs. No, but I think they should gather to advocate for drugs.
You guys just leave your trash everywhere?
Not like littering.
Growing up in an increasingly confused, hyper-medicated, and deeply struggled today, a billion-dollar industry thrives on exploiting the confusion of vulnerable children, prioritizing profit over their own well-being. In Virginia, our government is not only complicit in this exploitation,
I get stabbed with a needle.
Probably not. They do no harm, protect our kids' rights. But we've also, instead of being like Tennessee and other states doing protecting our kids, we've also passed a bill banning these same children from getting basic counseling.
Yeah, nobody's threatening you with it though,
to a place where they can affirm their bodies and gender. Our legal arm, the Founding Freedoms Law Center, represents John and Janet Raymond as clients.
Their shoes holding out because they're taking their teeth.
Who are prohibited in Virginia from simply offering talk therapy.
Oh yeah, they're taking their teeth, and some lady came over here and threw a fit, and I told her basically
to consider alternatives to permanently altering or mutilating their bodies. Instead, the only counseling permitted is that which affirms and often places these children on the fast track to medical intervention promoted by our children's hospital.
There's nothing wrong with taking your medication.
How is this acceptable? We stand here today to tell the Department of Justice it is not the federal government's job to prevent states from protecting our own children. Children should never receive the same castration drugs that are prescribed to violent sex offenders in several states, or face surgeries that cause irreversible harm. These children deserve more. They deserve far more than being reduced to profit by big pharma and ideologically driven medical professions. They tell us that affirming these children is the only way to love them. But we stand here today to say that's wrong. It is because we love them that we must stand against their physical and emotional mutilation.
I'm reaching up over and filming this so they don't block me. They don't try to block me until too late. And I can see she rolls up her sleeve and another gal helps her shoot testosterone into her arm. And they didn't do that over on the other side where all of their stuff was set up. They come over onto our side to set that up and do that in amongst all of us. Because that was the point that they wanted to make, is that they can go do this whatever they want, wherever they want, and what we thought wasn't important to them. But yeah, that's what they did. Standing next to me is or right in front of me to the right of my camera is a paid protester from Seattle. I had noticed in the crowd not long before that. I look over in the crowd and see this guy who's staring intently, trying to be intimidating. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's exactly what he did at the Olympus Spa protest in Linwood. And I took his that was last year in 2023. So last year in Linwood, that's what he was doing. And I even took the picture from the DC rally a few days ago, and with the picture I had of him in Linwood a whole year ago.
He showed it to me when we got to the hotel. We were looking at it. I'm like, she was like, this is the same guy.
It's the same guy, especially because he was doing that weird thing. But yeah, he was standing there blocking, trying to block so that I couldn't take the video of this woman shooting the testosterone. And when they finished, see, the thing I don't get is like they were trying to block on my sign. I've got a girl who's had a mastectomy, and she's upset, on my sign, and they were just trying to block that on my sign. It's like, aren't you proud of it? That's what you stand for. And the same thing, why are you trying to block shooting up the testosterone? Aren't you proud of that? That's what you're standing for. But if they want it to be all on their terms, and when we show the reality of everything, that bothers them, because we are affirming the reality of things and not their narrative. So
there's another paid agitator that you managed to get on film that's so great, and he was beeline for Aaron Friday, and you mentioned Jennifer Thomas, also known as American Turf,
right?
And it was so great because I saw her, because she's so experienced also. And when this guy put the bullhorn, who is a paid by the DNC, admitted, and we've got that information now out on Twitter, that he was with the bullhorn like, an inch from her face. And I saw Jennifer jump in and put the sign, she held the sign up like that, and she was trying to help, guard with Aaron.
Evidence about the voices you have heard from today. Those are separate options. Stop transy kids! 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 Protect transy kids! Protect transy kids! Protect transy kids!
My way.
You heard her!
Bitch, you heard me!
You heard her!
Bitch, you thought you had my tool, bitch! You thought you had me! You have my tool! Bitch, don't touch me! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Don't touch me!
You're touching her!
What you do, bitch? What you do? No, it's not, bitch. No, it's not. Oh, bitch, like, stop, bitch. You fucking hit me in the tube, bitch. Yeah, you did. No, it's not. You hit me in the face, bitch. Yeah, you did. That's outside. No, it's right here, bitch. started by this fucking cunt right here. I got started by this fucking cunt right here. Make me, bitch. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I'm not leaving. No, fuck that. I got started by this fucking nigga over there. I got started by this fucking ugly ass bitch right here. Fucking hit me the two. This dumb bitch right here hit me.
So those were two paid agitators that were there, but there was something that was kind of uniquely different that happened. And I don't know when it happened that you were there. How is it that you turned out to be on a sidewalk and somebody that's a celebrity walks by? It's literally 7 seconds of footage or something. You got Annette Bening, who has a 32-year-old daughter who's been living as a trans man for like 15 years. I think it's I believe it's her firstborn daughter, who goes by Steven now. But what the heck? So you didn't recognize her, right, Dawn? And what was going on?
Oh, no, I did. We recognized right away that that's who she was. It was after the rally, and we had wandered away to try to catch an Uber. And so while we're standing there trying to figure out the Uber, she walks by, and I could see her coming.
You knew right away that was her? Did you recognize?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we saw her coming.
It's a her.
Oh, that's good.
I love your sign.
Thank you. And she said,
my face was like,
I didn't. I was on my phone trying to get the Uber.
Yeah, because we were lost.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out
where to go, and there was a little hill, and my feet were hurting, and so I went to sit down. I sat down. I looked up, and Annette Bening walked right past me, and I was like that.
Yeah.
And Dawn, she talked to Dawn. What did she say, Dawn?
Yeah, she said, "I love your sign," which she doesn't, because my sign says no one is born in the wrong body, and it has this young girl, a cartoon young girl who's had the quote unquote top surgery, who's had the mastectomy. And, looking back at the footage, the woman that was walking next to her, I could see the look on her face as she walked by too, like looking like, oh no, it's that chick from over there. But yeah, that was her lame attempt at being snarky with that. I told her thank you. Said thank you.
She's so nice. Thank you. No, she didn't. But that's not. I mean, it was such a weird and surreal experience.
But she was there to be. She gave testimony, I guess, on the inside. She was in the hearings for her daughter.
She actually spoke outside to those gathered.
And
she
wasn't on the inside. I mean, I actually listened to the oral arguments. She did not speak.
No, she was outside. She was
but I think she was on the inside, though.
No, she did speak, because I was over on that edge.
She didn't speak on the inside. Only lawyers speak on the inside. When you go to SCOTUS and have a hearing, they don't listen to testimony from witnesses.
I think the confusion is like just about anybody, you can stand in line early enough to get a ticket to be on the inside and actually witness. One of the
doctors got in, right? One of the doctors, Travis got in.
Yeah, and so maybe she was on the inside for that reason, but not for testimony. This was only oral arguments for the attorneys.
Okay, got it.
Right,
got it.
President-elect Donald Trump has promised that he will ban transgender surgeries for minors. Do you believe that he will follow through with his promise?
He damn well better, or I'm going to call him. I swear I will.